An invisible battle is being fought in Seattle's Chinatown-International district. Lines are drawn and redrawn daily between massive development projects and the city's most vulnerable community. Today, Link Light Rail's International District Station is ground zero for the next big debate, one whose outcome will decide the neighborhood's destiny for decades to come. In January of 2022, Sound Transit announced a major light rail extension project that would provide much-needed transit opportunities to West Seattle and Ballard, serving thousands of Seattle residents. But every major change has a trade-off.
What's being proposed in the Sound Transit 3 CID station segment are essentially several different alignments. And these alignments are going to be majorly impactful to the neighborhood, its residents, its businesses, its property owners, its overall quality of life for a large number of years during the construction period.
It's a big deal because it's so close to the heart and the core of Chinatown, and I'm concerned about how long the construction will take, how long the street closures will last, and if our businesses are going to survive.
This isn't the first time a major infrastructure project has impacted the neighborhood.
Our neighborhood has been torn up or bisected or impacted every decade for the last 6 decades in a row.
In the 1960s, the construction of I-5 split the International District in half, paving over businesses and homes.
With I-5, we've had to displace so many homes and buildings, and with the streetcar, a lot of our businesses along Jackson didn't survive that construction. And so I think there's just a fear that we don't really know the real impacts of this construction because we've seen it, similar things happen over time. And so it's just whenever we feel like we can catch our breath, something new comes up, and we have to, figure out how to protect ourselves again.
As the regional gateway into Seattle's downtown and stadium district, International District Station is the single largest hub in the Puget Sound Transit Corridor, with over 2.5 million riders passing through its gates every year. Proximity to the station has transformed the CID from a historically undesirable neighborhood into the most sought-after commercial real estate in the city.
It's very ironic in a way. This is a neighborhood where people of color, Chinese immigrants, other Asian immigrants, and people of color for over 100 years have been relegated to living. Right? This is where we were only allowed to live in the history of Seattle. The neighborhood also just happens to sit at one of the major transit hubs on the West Coast. You have ferries, you have heavy rail, you have light rail, you have streetcar, you have buses, and you have cars, and they all sort of intersect right adjacent to the neighborhood.
Let's look at the data. The draft environmental impact statement, published by Sound Transit, details 5 options for the station expansion. 2 proposed station exits along the relatively unoccupied 4th Avenue, and 3 off of 5th Avenue, with 1 positioned diagonally across existing developments. Construction would force major street closures, the displacement and demolition of small businesses, exacerbate parking and traffic congestion, and subject residents to construction noise for 16 hours a day over the next 10 years.
In a lot of cases, there's not a lot that we can do in terms of impacting these neighborhoods, but what we can do is to create relationships within the community and help people who need relocation and any of those kinds of things as the project goes on.
But local residents and businesses aren't so sure. Their concerns tell a different story.
I don't really think that they really did due diligence in terms of gathering information or finding out how it would definitely affect the people that live and work here in this district. It's inevitable that we'd be gentrified, but the nice thing is that we have a lot of still community members that own some of these buildings, and we do have some community input.
The truth is, this neighborhood has always been expendable. Historic redlining, exclusion, and xenophobia meant that immigrants and non-white Americans had no choice but to form community in the only places they were allowed to live. Even now, that sense of community grows smaller with each encroachment into an already vulnerable neighborhood.
You know, I know that we're resilient because we've always bounced back and we're still here, but I'm worried about how much more our community can take in terms of weathering these like mass projects, weathering COVID, weathering these hate crimes against our elders and our friends.
The destiny of the CID's next 100 years will be determined by the days to come. But one thing is certain. The community of the CID will fight for their right to exist as they have done for generations.